In April, we are commemorating the passing of one of the most important and influential people in the history of the North Country, William H. Miner, who died on April 3, 1930. His will established the William H. Miner Agricultural Research Institute in Chazy, New York, an educational center with a working dairy farm. This month, Mountain Lake PBS will air a documentary about Miner's life and legacy here in the North Country.
Orphaned at the age of 10, William Miner was sent to far upstate New York to help on his aunt and uncle's farm in Chazy. He would learn the hardships of farm life and the values of hard work, but his future lay west, with engineering school and the railroad industry. William would return to his beloved North Country a multi-millionaire and embark on massive construction projects the area had never seen before.
He did things in this North Country that nobody had ever done before and probably never would do at any foreseeable time in the future.
An immense farm with over 300 buildings and 800 employees.
He always has to do things big time.
Our community contributor Leanne Ruff sits down this week with Rachel Dutil to talk about the work and mission of the Miner Institute.
Hello, I'm Leanne Ruff. Today I'm joined by Rachel Dutil, Public Relations and Marketing Coordinator at Miner Institute. Rachel is a North Country native with a background in journalism who now plays an important role in helping Miner Institute connect with the community through education, outreach, events, and public engagement. In addition to her work at Miner Institute, she serves in several community leadership roles across our region. Rachel, thank you so much for being here. So for viewers who may not know, tell us a little bit about the Miner Institute and its role in our community.
Sure. So Miner Institute is an agricultural research farm. We're located in Chazy, and we really are kind of the embodiment of William Miner's vision for agriculture in the North Country. So we have a dairy farm. We milk just about 600 registered Holsteins 3 times every day. We have a herd of Morgan horses, right around 30 Morgan horses. And we also do research looking at dairy cow behavior, nutrition, best water quality management and environmental practices for sustainability and profitability for farmers. And we also have education programs primarily for college undergraduates in environmental science, agricultural research, equine science, dairy science. And we're also open to the public. So we really have sort of an outreach arm that allows us to help folks to better understand agriculture, and certainly also the important role that William Miner and his wife Alice Miner have played in our region.
That's really impressive. I think you don't realize what's sitting right here in our community that, like you said, is open to the public. Now, in your role, tell us a little bit about how did you get here?
Sure. So I grew up in Champlain, and my dad actually raised heifers at my grandmother's farm, so I kind of had a little bit of agriculture in my background, but I decided that the North Country was a little too small for my taste, and I went to Fairbanks, Alaska to earn a degree in journalism, but decided actually after graduating to come back to New York. So I worked at newspapers in Albany County for a couple of years before returning back to the North Country and landing at Miner Institute by a lot of really good fortune, honestly.
Well, isn't it amazing how the North Country always pulls us back here, right, to serve our region? So tell me a little bit about your role specifically. How do you, in your role, help the Miner Institute go out into the public so we learn more about you? Tell us about that.
Sure. So, part of what I do is, I manage the website and social media accounts and that sort of thing, but really it's interfacing with the public, right? So community outreach, I think is really a big piece of what I do, and that looks like a whole bunch of different things. So for example, we will host the Straw Hatters Community Band on the lawn every year in the summertime. We will have open houses every couple of years. So 2026 is an open house year. On August 1st, we'll have a large open house with food trucks and wagon rides and interactive displays and those sorts of things. We also do a number of career fairs at local schools, so helping to promote careers in agriculture as an option for kids, and to help both students and guidance counselors and teachers to know that there are jobs in agriculture beyond just veterinarians, right?
Right.
Also, we feel really passionate about carrying on William Minor's legacy of generosity, and so in that vein we try to partner with organizations like the United Way of the Adirondack region to help give back to the community.
So that means you're really involved in a lot of fundraising, right? So tell us about that.
So Minor Institute is actually a nonprofit because of our educational status, but we are a very unique nonprofit in that we don't really have to fundraise for ourselves, because William Minor set up an endowment before his death that helps to support us. So we fundraise for other organizations. So we do some fundraising for the United Way. We have our annual cow kissing campaign, which is always really fun. We also will host the comedy group Completely Stranded and do a comedy show that raises some funds for the United Way. And a couple of events that we have upcoming will raise money for the hospital. So the CVPH Foundation, we have a Minor Legacy Run, a 5K charitable race that will raise money for nursing programs at the hospital. And then we're going to have an art auction over at the Alice T. Minor Museum to raise money for the Alice T. Minor Women and Children Center at CVPH.
It's really interesting how the Minor Institute really has fingers in so many different things in our community and is bringing great impact. In your role in really being the instigator and facilitator for a lot of those things, how has that helped you learn about the community needs that we have in our area?
Maybe more than understanding the community needs, I've really gained a pretty great perspective on just the community itself, right? And the generosity and the kindness and the empathy and just the really great people who are here in the North Country. I think that's been one of the most rewarding aspects of kind of working in the community in that way. But I think really it's just carrying forward William Minor's ideas, his vision, and just his generosity, and you know, really helping to ensure that his legacy continues to live on. And we're closing in on 100 years since his death, and the fact that he's still such a really a prominent person in our region is pretty fantastic. Even though this man and his wife have been gone for a really long time, their impact still continues to this day, right? The endowment that William Minor set up in 1923 is still providing annual funds to Minor Institute, to the Chazy Central Rural School, to the hospital. And I think that that's really impactful. So people who think that William Minor maybe only impacted the railroad industry or only impacted agriculture, they don't really know the whole story, right? Because really he touches virtually every life in the North Country through the hospital, right? Most of us have had some connection, whether it's visiting a loved one or, you know, having a child or some other service, right, that the hospital provides.
I can feel that from you. I can feel that you're passionate about his legacy.
Sure.
Yeah. So, what is one thing, you know, based on that you really would love the community to know about that legacy?
So William and Alice Minor had a child, a son, who was born in 1902, and sadly he only lived about 2 weeks. And after his death is when William and Alice Minor returned to Chazy and started building up Heart's Delight Farm. And all indications really are that had the child survived, they probably would have stayed and continued their life in Chicago, which was happy and very fulfilling. But I think that the death of their child is really what drew them back to Chazy. And so I really kind of like to think about not only William and Alice and kind of the generosity and the legacy that they've created in the North Country, but also the fact that that baby, William Miner Jr., right, his legacy really is the hospital and the school and Miner Institute and the Alice T. Miner Museum, right, and all of the things that have kind of come out of those organizations as well.
So tell us a little bit more about the connection with the museum and the hospital.
In 1923, William Miner started building Physicians Hospital, sort of as a gift to the North Country. It opened in 1926, so 2026 marks 100 years since the opening of Physicians Hospital, which of course merged with Champlain Valley Hospital to become what we all know as CVPH, right? Also in 1926, William's wife Alice Miner opened the Alice T. Miner Colonial Collection in the village of Chazy. So in the early 1900s, after returning to Chazy, Alice's friends encouraged her to start collecting things, which she did. So she started with china, and there was a guest house at the farm where all of her collections were displayed, but she at some point outgrew that space. So William bought her a stone house in the village of Chazy, which they kind of dismantled brick by brick and then rebuilt to be a colonial house museum, which Alice herself ran until her death in 1950.
So there's a lot going on at the Miner Institute, things that I had no idea about. So help me here. If I were to be a homeschooling mom and I'm watching this and I'm hearing about all these programs and things that are open to the public, tell me more about that. How do I find out more? How do I get involved in what the Miner Institute has going on?
So one place that's, I think, really exciting for students or families to visit is our Hearts Delight Farm Heritage Exhibit. So it's a small seasonal museum that's open from May through the end of October, weekdays from 9 to 3. And it's set up to be a self-guided experience, but we do offer group tours. So it's really great access to get a little bit of an idea of what modern agriculture, as well as, agriculture 100 years ago was like.
You certainly educated me, so I really thank you for joining us here today. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
For more information about the Miner Institute in Chazy, New York, please visit whminer.org.
This month, Mountain Lake PBS will have special 10th anniversary showings of the documentary Heart's Delight, The Story of William H. Miner, produced by Paul Frederick. It airs on Monday, April 13th at 9 p.m. and then again on Tuesday, April 14th at 3 p.m.